So welcome back, my fellow lotman Tyres. Can I get a chip of them, please? My gardeners, horticulturalist, ladies. So today I'm going to be talking about how I deter, and you see I'm wrapped up like this. It's cold in this house, people. I've been outside, I got a bit wet today, so I'm feeling a bit vulnerable, so that's why I'm trying to keep warm. Just had my lemon and ginger tea, so I'm feeling a lot better. Thank you. So today, like I said, we're going to be talking about how I deter predators from my little patch out there, because now I've got chickens, I've got some ducks. I do not want them to be eaten and predated upon, and I'm not talking about the land mammals, because birds, they can run off, they can hide and stuff, but I might make them like extra little shelters. I'm just afraid they're going to roost yet, but it's been a week now, so they can sleep in their bed. They're used to it, they know where it is, they know where home is, so I might make like little outhouses so they can run in and dive and duck and weave and stuff in case like the big eagle or a buzzard wants to come down and then take them for lunch. But the main the main focus of today is I'm going to talk about how I deter or how I distract otters and rats. Okay, warning to everyone, I've got to shut off now, but have a look at that. That's a big bastard. It was a female, there's no bollocks there. So you saw that rat, right? That was a big rat. That was one of the biggest rats I've ever seen. And yeah, it weighed like, it's weighed more than that breadboard. It's about a good, yeah, it was about that. If you can imagine that, Hellman's jar full of my missus like potions. I suppose she's a witch. It's like Eye of Newt or some rubbish. Don't tell her. But yeah, so that was a big rat, and that was at the yard, and they used poison. That rat sadly died from poison, which is nasty. Like, you don't want, because if you kill something with poison, you chuck that poison, that rat, I've chucked over the fence. I did think about it and I did it, but they didn't want me to put it in the bin. I thought, okay, I do what I'm told. My boss was telling me this, so I chucked it over the fence. So anything else that eats that now might get poisoned. You mean it's just like a knock-on effect, it's a domino effect. So that's why we don't use poison. Humane ways of getting rid of pests, people. Come on now. And the next thing I saw, the next predator, which I just said was an otter, is I saw one sadly the other day. So have a look at this. Yeah, that was big. I don't know what gender it was, but it was big. It was decent. It was kind of scary enough, and you can see that next to my wellies how big it was. It's basically just like a long, thin cat, and yeah, they've been known to grab chickens and ducks and anything they can get their hands on. And I'm sure, like, basically, I've only mainly seen them when it's raining. When it's pouring down with rain, I've seen them, and there's water everywhere here. There's over 800 locks, so you can understand this is an otter's wet dream. So I have devised a plan, and that plan is, in fact, I'll give you the break you down gently. I've got many ingredients in what I use to kind of deter these guys. So let's start off with the first one. And if you can see in the video here, today is Coco's toilet cleaning day, and oh my god, she's still inside. She's a lovely cat, but she has yet to go outside. I can understand it's because she's like she was never much an outdoor cat. She only really went outside just to poo and wee, and every so often bring in a frog. So, which was a pain, because when we were cleaning the flat out, there was like some petrified frog on the floor, just like, oh god. And she would always bring in live frogs, but then bring in like a half dead mouse. It was quite annoying. So then you just run off and hear that kind of thing. So rest in peace, mice. But I'm collecting her toilet today, her toilet mess, so that's the first ingredient. Jesus. If smells can kill, I tell you. Second ingredient is urine. My urine. Let me 1 second, let me get it. Right, let's go in here, get the second ingredient. Embrace yourself, it's the best stuff. The freest thing you could ever muster up, and men's version of it is better than the females. Ta-da!
No, not that.
What is it? What is it?
There's a Weewee in the bottle.
Yes, Cedar is right, it's Weewee. And Weewee is good because it's full of testosterone. And remember, people, we're mammals, so we're part of the animal kingdom. So what do mammals do when they're marking their territory? They go around and they defecate, or they wee-wee, all on their little perimeter, basically. So what I've got around the side, the outskirts, in fact, I don't know, let's hold back, let's hang back a bit. That's the first bit of that's the second ingredient, and then we'll talk about the other ingredients in a sec. So let's get outside. I've got all the main ingredients now. We're outside. So I've got human hair, dog hair, urine, garlic and onions, Coco's litter, Tyres, and a T-Rex. So, we're outside now and looking at the perimeter of the place, and as you can see, there's tyres placed around all around the place. Thinking, oh, what is he doing? What is this madness? But tyres are great at holding water. They're rubber. It's natural. They just hold water and they last for they last for years. So that's why I've got the tyres there. And the first tyre I'm putting in is the garlic and the onions. And the reason being is because it humdings people. It smells so strong. It's not bad. The thing is, if you don't know what the smell is, then for example, one of my clients had a bucket full of water and loads of garlic in it to deter the fox. And I walked over one day and I was just like, oh, what the hell is this? And then she told me, I was like, oh, it ain't that bad, because you associate, but it just smells very strong, people, honestly. So it's going to sit there, it's going to ferment, it's going to break down, and it's going to smell so pungent to the point where it puts things off. Because you think about it, when you grow garlic and onions and stuff, it doesn't have many pest problems apart from like rust, or maybe your chives might get black fly, but that's nothing to kind of scare the crap out of you, if you know what I mean. So, but at the same time, that's why I've got to come to this conclusion that if I put a kind of garlic and onions in a tyre, it will humding and smell and kind of mask out the smell of the ducks and the chickens, because they pong right now. And then the next tyre is going to be my wee, because like I said before, if you're marking your territory, you go out and you spray wherever basically. So it goes garlic, wee, you get me? And you remember school toilets? Oh my god, it's just going to sit there, it's going to fester, and it's just going to smell of me, and it's going to hopefully it puts off anything that comes near it. So that's the first plan. And now for the last plan of action is the pot of doom. I'm kidding. Essentially, it's just like a scented wormery, which most wormeries are scented if you think about it. But this is going to be like, you wouldn't want this in your house, put it that way. So basically, I've got the pot, and you're going to drill some holes in this pot, yeah. And with the excess, I'm going to dig a hole at the bottom for the pot, so then the pot gets anchored down, because the wind here is really strong. You must know that from some of my old videos. If you don't, then click this video up here, and place the soil that I've dug out, place it at the bottom, because it's going to be full of worms and invertebrates and life that I want to keep in there. And then on top, I'm going to put some dog hair. There's loads of, honestly, there's I don't know how many dogs that the lady cuts, but there's lots of dog hair. There's not just one type of dog. So to the smell around to the predators, this will smell like I've got maybe 15 dogs, maybe more, a dozen or more. And I'm going to put Coco's poos in there as well. So because cats are feisty, I know as otters are pretty much the same size as a cat, but at the same time, knowing you can smell a cat about, you're going to be a bit like, you're going to think twice about it, if you know what I mean. Think, oh, I can't be bothered to deal with that pussy cat, if you know what I mean. And then on top of that, I put some of Susie's hair on. I haven't get to cut my hair yet, so that's why it's not in there, but when I do, it will be going in there. And yeah, so we've got smells of us, smells of the cat, smells of random people's dogs, and it's breaking down, and that's why I put more holes in it, so then there's good drainage, and it will encourage worms to come up and come down as well, if that makes sense. So it's like a nice, it's working. And if you were to use this soil in your bed, and another thing, cat sand is biodegradable too, so it will break down after time, and so those bags are too. So if you were to use that bag or that bucket of soil once it's broken down on your garden, ideally I would use it on a tree or basically a crop that you know you're not going to have direct contact with. Like, for example, I wouldn't use it on spinach because cat poo is it's not good for you, put it that way. But it does break down because worms eat poo, people. Remember that? Worms eat poo. There's no waste in nature. So remember that. And another thing, if you want to know a bit more about worms, have I done a vlog on worms? I have done a vlog on worms. I like worms. Worms are our friends. So if you click the top right of the screen, you will see me talking about worms and my bathtub wormery, which got changed quickly because I had a crazy idea of planting plants in, but I'm blabbing. So yeah, so use that kind of broken down compost on trees and stuff because it's safer that way, and you know the fact that it's going to feed the tree, but at the same time it's not going to come direct contact with the fruit or the crop that you're going to touch and stuff, because you don't want to get a poorly runny belly from manky cat manure, but give it some time, give it a couple of years, and it will look the tits mate. So if you haven't guessed it already, the reason why I'm doing these things is because they are highly scented. And we've got a good nose, people, but rats and otters have a great nose, and they're very nose orientated. And here the wind travels for flipping miles, like it's windy as, like I said, you've seen it, it's just like blustery. So hopefully these lines of defense will make them think twice about coming here. Because yeah, I could just, I mean, it looks silly, but at the same time in my head I feel like it's worth, I'd rather be safe than sorry than come back and just seeing flipping feathers everywhere. And I'm just like, because I told you another great thing about muskies is that they're really quiet. But now I've got these 7 chickens, sorry. They're a bit more noisy and they kind of make all that kind of sound. And the cock, he's not old enough yet to start crowing and stuff, but he'd give him a couple of weeks, he's going to be there now, strutting his stuff, crack a dong with his old cock-a-doodle-doo and all that kind of stuff. So he's going to be heard for miles as well. So that is my first line of defense. But there's the second, the last wall of defense is an electric fence. And as you can see, it's still in its box, but I need 2 people to help me do it. So that's why I'm waiting for Susanna's dad to come down to help me. So yeah. But if you learnt something here today, if you learnt something, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't learn anything, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see me, if you want to consider subscribing, put it that way, because next week I will be letting the chickens out, we're putting the fence up and letting them out, and then they can go out and play. And I think a week after that is when I'm going to clip the wings of the duckies and let them kind of integrate with the chickens, because they pretty much have integrated, but at the same time I want them to kind of, it's weird, that's what I say, the chickens are good at pecking and scratching and stuff, but the ducks are good at eating and nibbling the scraps, because the chickens don't get it yet. They've obviously just been fed normal stuff, normal food, pellets or whatever, and grain, whereas the ducks, they're a bit more wild, because they're not imprinted on people, they weren't raised by people, they were born in woodlands with their mum, like, and you can see it when I approach them, they just run for miles basically. So it's kind of a good thing, because hopefully they teach each other something. So that's the plan. So anyways, peace and hugs to all, and think about your Weewee, and think about if you've got a predator problem, think about maybe using scents instead of like chemicals and all sorts, and try and be nicer to the environment, because remember, it's always got a knock-on effect. And yeah, just be nice to nature, and nature will be nice to you. Peace and hugs, people. See you soon, hopefully, and peace and hugs.